Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Minister, we all agree that Ireland urgently needs better infrastructure to meet its housing needs. And you've sat here listening to all of the deputies saying it, from water planning to grid capacity. But the solution doesn't lie in trading blame. It lies in us all rolling up our sleeves and fixing what's broken but easily fixable right in front of us. There's small legislative changes that will have the biggest ripple effects, and finally solving the housing crisis that my generation and every generation of buyers is facing. The motion from Sinn Féin does identify real constraints, but it doesn't really offer, in my opinion, real reform. As an independent supporting the programme for government, I'll be voting in favour of the government's amendment, not because everything is perfect, but because I'm committed to the programme for government, which lays foundations for real structural change. One of these structural changes that was a key priority for me in negotiations was the progression of private wire legislation. If we're serious about accelerating housing delivery and building infrastructure of the future, then we need to remove the obstacles that are right in front of us. One of the most urgent and fixable, as you've heard from every member of this House, is our electricity, is the absence of private wire legislation regarding our electricity. Let me explain what this means in real terms. Take typical, a new development of, say, 300 units with 6 separate cores of apartments. Under current rules, ESB must install separate electricity connections to each individual apartment, plus additional connections for lifts, lightings and building management. So that's upwards of 310 separate grid connections. It's slow, it's expensive, and worst of all, if ESB or EirGrid say there's no capacity for these, which they often do, the entire project can be delayed for years or more. Now, imagine if private wire legislation was made legal. Instead of 310 separate grid connections, the developer installs a single large connection for the building and sub-meters for each apartment internally. The development can also incorporate rooftop solar panels, geothermal heat pumps and battery storage, and even backup generators. Minister, I studied engineering in college for 5 years. I asked my professor one change he would make to Ireland's current system to make the biggest difference, not only for our housing crisis, but for our energy target goals. And this is what he said. He said, legalise private wires. In effect, we create a local microgrid. You can do it entirely separate from the national grid if needed. That means no delays waiting for grid capacity, lower infrastructure costs and cleaner, cheaper energy from day one. This isn't science fiction. It's standard practice in countries like Denmark and Germany, where apartment complexes, business parks and energy co-ops can legally share electricity through private wires. Private wire legislation would unlock stalled housing developments, encourage developers to divest in on-site renewables, create energy-resilient communities, less exposed to the volatile market prices. But right now, Irish law doesn't allow electricity to be transferred through private wires unless there's a blocker. And it won't take years. This will take months to bring through. I've already put a bill to the OPLA, and we don't need to rewrite our climate targets or invent new funding streams. We just need to allow developers to build smarter, cleaner electricity. Let them generate, store and share electricity on site. The programme for government commits to this. The programme for government that I signed up to commits to this. This is a perfect shovel-ready policy that's a win for you, for this government, but more importantly, it's a win for the people of Ireland. I'm delighted with the engagement I've had so far with Minister Darragh O'Brien with my PQ on the 8th of May. He said that it's an important action which is included in the programme for government and that it's a priority for him. So I'll say again, let's legalise private wires, let's turn the grid from a barrier up into a barrier back up and give housing developers and communities the power, literally, to move ahead.
Thanks, Deputy.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.